So, welcome everyone to Thrivecast, Unlocking Your Full Potential. I'm Oscar, I'm an emotional fitness coach, and I help people embody their higher self so they can live their true life purpose. And with me today, I have Katarina Hanssens Carlsson. Katarina, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you, Oscar. So I'm a global entrepreneurial mentor for Techstars. And what I do is I show people how we have a blueprint for failure naturally and how to turn that around to a success blueprint. So I work with entrepreneurs, I work with leaders globally. All right. So what is our wonderful topic for today? It's called Set to Fail, question mark. Are we set to fail? So Oscar, would you like to answer that or shall I start?
Well, I can answer it. It's a
Okay,
it's a
great.
funny it's a funny
With
question.
a big smile, set to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of how society and school systems and education is set up. No, in the sense of what is our actual divine spiritual, embodied blueprint, right? That that's the whole like diversity, right? You have who you sort of think you are through society's lens, but then there's a truth of who you are. And those are always in a cognitive dissonance with each other. But if we focus on if we are set to fail from societal standpoint, yes, we are, because of how school systems and society essentially is set up. It is a very, let's say, logical, non-emotional way of being and upbringing that causes us to shut off this beautiful, for instance, right brain half. And so we become very numb, we become stagnant, we become non-emotional. All these qualities that we can see, the beautiful, starry lights in the eyes of a child, that goes away, and it's that God spark that gets sort of cluttered with all these let's say faulty, I would say, education that is and puts a blind spot on ourselves and makes us into cog in a wheel. So many people understand this eventually when they come up maybe into their 40s, and some in their 50s, and some in their 60s, but they sense that something is array, right? It doesn't compute. And that's when we have all these middle-age crises. We get burnout. Something is simply not working. We question our life. All these kind of things are just, let's say, symptoms of the soul simply protesting and saying, you know what? I've had it. I'm no longer going to put up with this crap I've been fed. Let my truth shine. That's what I would start saying.
Beautiful, beautiful, Oscar. I love it. I love it when you talk about our lights going on because, according to Dr. George Land, children up to the age of 6 are operating from 98% creative genius. And you can see it we can see it in our children. They're full of life, full of creativity, unless they're told, no, 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 you can't do that. And then their lights go off even sooner. But they will go off after the age of 6 or 7, unfortunately. So we are dumb downing children in schools. We are. And that's how we set ourselves up for failure. We go into school thinking, oh, I am somebody, Of course, we're somebody, and of course, we're unique, but there's usually, I think, about 30 children in a classroom. You're told to sit down, shut up, and listen. And that's what happens. We sit down, so we lose our power. And I'm not saying, okay, I think that the whole classroom should rebel. Rebellion never got us very far. Look at the French Revolution. I mean, they started with a monarchy. They killed the kings and created an emperor. Okay, so of course they had a lot of impact on many other countries, which was liberation. But rebelling actually doesn't work. I mean, talk to Gandhi. So, do our lights go out? Are we set up for failure? Absolutely. We're set up to be compliant. Do we actually get an education? Educare is to bring out your brilliance, not to crush it in and say, shut up and sit down and listen to me. So, we're not educated. Most of us are not. Now, if you look at Leonardo da Vinci, did he go to school? Never. He learned to read, write, and do basic arithmetic. And he's one of our greatest geniuses. Never went to school. He didn't get dumbed down. How about Einstein? He left school at 15, educated himself. And what about Jose Silva? He never went to school. He learned to read and write by himself. And I think through his brothers and sisters who came home from school, he learned a little bit from them. And then he created one of the largest electronic repair businesses in Texas, in South Texas. So our greatest geniuses never went to school. And actually, I think there's a story about Einstein. He worked out a problem in his mind with his methodology, and he was told by his teacher that he was cheating, but he got the right answer. So anyway, so we leave school, we don't know who we are, our lights have gone out, we don't have much imagination. What do we do then? And I think you're absolutely right, Oscar, about at the age of 40, 50, whatever, we go, what am I doing in my life? You know, school told me they would prepare me for life. Well, they haven't. They don't know who I am. They don't know my brilliance. And am I actually going to live the rest of my life like this? I've got a job that I hate. I hate Mondays. I'm good at my job. I get a very good salary, but I'm tired of being a robot. I'm tired of imposter syndrome. I'm tired of being inauthentic. I want to be me. So that's what's going on in the world. And we are set up for failure. So what's my next question? Can we reverse our failure blueprint? Because we all have a failure blueprint. And how does it, can we reverse it? Is that possible? What do you say, Oscar?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course we can reverse it. It's like that's the, I wouldn't say that that's the whole point of life, because I would say the whole point of life is actually to be in our genius, in our brilliance, and share, what stirs our soul, and to create that and move that and make that beautiful world into the image that is inside of ourselves. That's what I would say is the ultimate purpose. But before we get there, we obviously need to come into alignment with whom we see ourselves as and whom our soul know we are, right? Our self-image needs to be in alignment with our soul's blueprint. Otherwise, we will always feel disconnected from our truth, from who we are. And we will continuously be feel more and more emotional distraught within ourselves until we surrender to the fact that thing inside there, it needs to be expressed. So to return to the question, absolutely, we can definitely reverse it. And to get to how to do that is, first of all, understand, you can ask yourself, when you went to school, okay, were you the good person? Were you the one who managed to like outperform the grades and all of that, so you really made it in societal ways of being? So perhaps you had a beautiful big career and everything like that, and you maybe you created companies and you have a lot of money, right? But now you're coming up in your 40s and 50s and you feel empty somehow, right? That's one way. Now the other one is the one who like, I hate school. But you didn't drop out. You felt unworthy of, or you looked upon yourself as you're not enough, that you're not measuring up to how the world says who you are. So you started questioning everything at almost the age of 20 because you felt so goddamn worthless around these things, right? So, but the problem is that then you pushed away that successful being or idea of that. So you probably went your entire life without having that much money and feeling that and being supported by the system and everything, right? So you have one side, that one is more focused on, I'm going to achieve. So you're more selfishly involved. You're more focused there. While the other one is more selfless and saying like, oh no, the world is fucked up. Let's fix it. But those two levels needs to be balanced, because you need to breathe out and you need to breathe in, right? You need a balance between selfishness and selflessness, altruism and narcissism. And that's what most people don't understand, because we are brought up and say that, oh, you're not supposed to be selfish, especially in Sweden. And maybe in US, it's it's different, right? It's like, oh, don't be a pussy, right? Don't be selfless. So it's these two polarities that people don't dare to embrace. But when we do, that's when we come into balance. That's when we come into alignment, and we can start seeing that, oh, we can move then to this, like, let's say that this is selfish and this is selfless. And the less we are on these, then we start reaching the top. And the top there, that's our soul, right? So that's when we're in alignment. And that is what's so difficult for most people, because we don't want to look at the other side of the polarity, but we have to. Yeah.
Absolutely. We need to look at our failure strategy. We need to look at our sabotage strategy, which comes from the reptilian brain to keep us small and safe and worthless, basically. And that's why we feel worthless. But it's not true. Our sabotage strategy, our failure strategy, is not based on truth. It's a lie. So we've lied to ourselves. We've taken in the lies of the establishment of our education. We're told, we're not exactly told we're nothing, but we've taken that in. And that we're not better than anybody else. That is correct, that we're not better than anybody else, but doesn't mean to say you need to repress your genius that you had before you were 6 years old. So, how do we reverse it? We look at the truth. Takes courage. We look at, who am I saying I am? What is my sabotage strategy? Who am I saying I am at the worst moment of my life? Right? How am I in action? How do I sabotage myself in action? And how does it impact my health, my relationships, my finances, everything in my life? It can destroy people. But remember, it's a lie. So we have to look at our lies, because we've lied to ourselves. Society has lied to us. Society has treated us like we're worthless. It's not true. Once we've done that, we can reverse it, because a lie can always be reversed to the truth. Once you do that, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing what happens, because the truth will set us free. And when we do that, when we know that, when we embrace it every single day, that I am someone, I am a unique, brilliant individual, not better than anybody else, but I have found my genius. Why? Because now I know who I am, what I'm up to, where I'm going, what my driving purpose is, and I'm going to do it. Nothing is going to stop me, because then you become unstoppable, just like children up to the age of 6. And then you can create your compelling vision. And by the way, next week, we are going to show you how to create your kingdom. Some of you are already doing that. I mean, the kingdom that is beyond this world. And some people are not doing it. Most people are not doing it. They're creating a kingdom of strife, of war, of conflict, and that's what we've got as well. So, my last question is, how does our success imprint impact our lives?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you look at success. Let's say that someone is highly successful and has made a huge impact, but monetary, right? Then obviously it has an impact on others because they have gotten a job, and so it helps the whole world. It stirs on evolution. That's one way of looking at it. But the other way is for the person or the soul that fully follows its utter desire and longing inside of itself, and has that as an outpour of what it's waking up to every morning, and giving that out into the world because it simply feels that it is the truth there. That is inspirational, and that starts creating magic. That is what innovation is all about. You know, that's the visionary, that's the genius, that's the, you know, that part, the beautiful part that stirs emotion in everyone and makes them feel so alive, right? That's the whole thing. We create energy, and the world becomes different. We're no longer making houses that are straight. We make them all over the place, right? Because it's just beautiful. We're like children who don't learn how to maybe paint in a right way, but they're painting just with utter creativity. And so that soul starts learning that, and it starts structuring it, and then it starts to create this beautiful aligned both imagery but also structures and retreats and, you know, and gardens, right? That's the one of the key things, like the Garden of Eden, the most beautiful place ever to have existed on the earth, right? Because of the beauty of the soul alignment in those individuals who makes it as an outpour of divinity. That is true, you know, godly meaning, right? That is what we are actually here to live and create and thrive in. That is true sustainability, but divine growth, I would say.
Beautiful. So we're
What would you
talking
say?
about absolute fulfillment, soul fulfillment, not just success, but
No.
soul fulfillment. But once we turn our failure strategy into a success strategy, success means fulfillment. Success means that you live an extraordinary life. You become an extraordinary person, because that's what it's all about. It's becoming who you know as the ideal, and then not stopping there, becoming more and more and more, because that's what is within us. So how does your success strategy affect your life? Completely. Your health, your finances, your wealth, your relationships. People want to be around you. Why? Because you glow. You're a light. You walk into a room, people start wondering, who is she? Who is he? Why? Because you're alive. You're not dying. You're growing into someone amazing. And that's who we all are. So how does it affect our lives? Completely. Completely. So what I'd like to say at this point is subscribe to us. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy watching our programs and we enjoy podcasting, then help us do that. Okay, so Oscar. Yeah, he's saying yes.
Excellent. Yeah.
And
Precisely.
and Oscar, how do we contact you?
You reach me through my website, realitydecoding.com, or Oscar Nygren on YouTube, or my Facebook group, Live Your Purpose. And you, Katarina, how do people reach you?
So the best way is LinkedIn, Catherine Carlsson. It also responds to Katarina Hanssens Carlsson, which is my preferred name. We invite you every single week to contact us. So do it. What is stopping you? Just do it and just have a little conversation with us. Who knows what can happen with your life after contacting Oscar or contacting me? See you next week.
Exactly. Take care, everyone. See you.